I'm the underdog with the heroic heart. I'm Eric Jones Jr. I have to keep pushing for my kids. If I give up, what's that leave them with? Nothing. I have to understand that it's bigger than me. That it's not about me when I wake up and go to work. It's not about me when I read and educate myself. It's not about me when I'm practicing my speeches. It's not about me. It's about my family. Hey. You're now tuned in to Underdawg Talk. I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart. And I have conversations with successful underdogs. And today I have Wilda J. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing good. How's your week going? It's almost the end of the week. How's your week been?
I'm on cloud nine. I'm on cloud nine.
Oh yeah, you just had your conference last weekend, right?
Yes, I had a vision board brunch for moms, and it was just so perfect. I'm like still in awe, still like reliving the moments and stuff like that. So I've had a blissful week, honestly.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I know it turned out good. Yeah, my week just been work. It's kind of getting back in the swing of things. I'm a teacher, so just getting back in. First full week since winter break, and it's been busy. But we'll get into today's conversation after the sponsor, which is DeJuan. That's my clothing line, me and my son. It has t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. If you use the promo code Underdawg Talk, you get 15% off. And Underdog is spelled UNDERDAWG Talk at ChristianDewan.com. So you are a mom that's an entrepreneur. It's one word, but I don't want to say it. And when I chose, like, I was looking through like social media people that I wanted to kind of get on the show for the new year. I was like, I know some moms that are like at the beginning stage, like they got talent, they kind of know what they want to do, but they don't. They're already busy, so they don't know how to add in that extra workload. So where were you at, and what made you change, or have you always been an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. So I actually never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Like yourself, I always thought I was going to be a teacher. And so I went to school thinking I was going to be a teacher. My family always said, discouraging things like, you're not going to make that much money. But for me, it was about the passion more than the money. And so when I got to college, I got into elementary education, didn't like it too much. I really wanted to be a reading teacher. And then I learned that I can just get endorsed in reading. So I didn't really have to go to school for it. So then I was like, what other career path can I choose? And then I got into social work and I loved it. And one of the definitions of a social worker is someone that alleviates the needs of others. And so for me, I take all the principles that I learned as a social worker and also my passion for being a teacher, and I turn that into being a business coach for moms. And so for me, that's really important because I believe that by me coaching other moms, I can help them. We focus on mindset, business, and just everything in between. So I still help them to alleviate the needs of their finances, of their mental, emotional well-being. And so I also learned that you don't have to sit behind a computer desk, or in a school setting to be a teacher. I still teach, just in a different way. And so when I kind of identified that, that really set me free and allowed me to expand with what it is that I wanted to do.
I love it. But the thing is, I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't go to school for teaching. I graduated with a 1.7 GPA, two-time college dropout. Nope, I didn't even like school. And I needed a job. And the lady at my church was a principal, and they were like, oh, we got an assistant opening. And then I worked my way up to becoming a teacher. But yeah, teaching wasn't for me. I never knew what I wanted to do, but I knew for some reason, I was like, I don't want to have a job. But I haven't got to that point of being a full-time entrepreneur. But I like what you said, though. It's like you don't have to be in the school setting to teach. Like, I think a lot of people think that you have to be in the classroom and do all. No, you don't, because teachers don't get paid what we're worth. Like, we're with kids all day and it just doesn't work out. So I love that you said that, because that could open somebody's eyes to be like, okay, I'm really good in this subject, so I could teach this. Because I just did a training for guided reading and learning different stuff of, you could put your own thing together. So I like that, like, because sometimes people don't look outside the box. That's thinking outside the box. Because
Right.
if you go with the old typical, oh, let me go to the classroom, I'm gonna be a teacher for 20 years, and that ain't the goal. Like, if you really want to succeed.
Mhm.
So when you made that turn, how was it? Was it like, okay, people were like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna come to you, or did it take a while for you to, get a couple clients?
So I will say that sometimes your environment can really determine if you will be an entrepreneur or not. If you're someone like me that didn't come from an entrepreneurship background and things like that, I know I always saw my best friend. She was always like a natural born entrepreneur, and I thought I was just going to be the 9 to 5 person. But I attended FAMU, and at FAMU, there was so much Black excellence. Everybody had a side hustle, whether the girls was doing hair in their dorms, whether, the guys were, cutting people's hair, selling plates, like selling shirts and different things like that, having Set Friday where you could actually participate in bringing your things that you sell to the actual location on campus and selling your products. They were literally showing us that we can be entrepreneurs, that we can think outside of the box, and we can have somewhere to cultivate those ideas, those thoughts, those feelings. And so seeing that started to really open my eyes to, okay, like maybe I can do this. So I like sat there really hard and I was like, okay, well maybe I'm gonna like start a t-shirt line. I wanted to sell shirts with like spiritual quotes on it and things like that.
Mhm.
I didn't really get into it, but once I got pregnant with my son in my junior year of college, I realized that a 9 to 5 is not for me. Personally, it's not for me. Trying to balance your 9 to 5 with a child is not realistic for everybody. And let's be clear, entrepreneurship is not for everybody because you will literally trade in that 9 to 5 and work 24 hours until you learn how to delegate and have the funds to, do different things and spend less time in your business. So it's not something that's super easy, but it is rewarding. And that time freedom is really important to me now. That residual income is really important to me now. And so for me, my mentor, kind of encouraged me to start off with a MLM company, and from there, I just took off and I never looked back.
Mm. I love that, because I think my sister, her best friend went to FAMU, and my daughter, she's looking to go to a HBCU. And it's like what you said is so true. Like, sometimes when people go to college, you don't get around the right people. You get around the people that want to party and do all the stuff that maybe you couldn't do at home. Like, you feel like, oh, I got that little freedom, I'm gonna go do this, but you're not around the people that's, all right, we gonna do that, but we making money. We got a business. We knowing how to get an LLC, this and that, and you miss those opportunities because you're not in the right environment. So that's definitely true. Like, getting around people that's just doing something positive makes you want to do something positive, and then that's how you kind of found who you wanted to be and what you wanted to do. So I love that. So you got a son, you starting your business. How do you manage times? Because I know it's moms out there like, okay, I got 2 kids, I got a job, I got a little side job, and so how am I supposed to do this? So what what did you do? How did you manage your time and, like, to be able to do the business, be a mom, and then still have time for yourself?
That's a great question. So I actually have 2 kids now. So I have a 4-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. So it's a lot more work for sure. One kid is a lot, but more than one is definitely like the most. What I will say is that when I first started, being that I started in an MLM, it was a little bit easier because it's like on your time. So I would say if you can start there, like being a travel agent, selling detox tea, like little things like that, like even Mary Kay, things that you can do on the side, I would recommend those type of things only because it just gets your feet wet. If you don't have like the entrepreneurship already in you, but it's something that you want to cultivate, I would say those type of companies work because one, it's like on your own time. And two, I will say it taught me a lot about personal development. 100%. For me, I would say my experience wasn't really about the money. It was about the mindset and the things, the team building, and being able to get out there and market yourself, right? So most MLMs are in the network marketing industry. And so when you think about it like that, I was the type of person that I didn't want to talk to somebody that I didn't know. I didn't want to like, hey big head, let me DM you. I would just like stay to myself. But in that, they would push you to be like, hey, you got to try to talk to 100 people today. Talk to this much people today. Keep going, keep trying. Every no is getting you closer to your yes. Every no is getting you closer to your yes. And so as I continued to do that, I began to be more comfortable talking to people, or just learning how to have conversations at the grocery store, like being able to maybe have a jacket that says I sell Mary Kay, and you never know who wants that, and now you're able to have that conversation and potentially get a customer. And so I would say for me, because I'm a natural speaker, once I started to put myself out there, I was able to persuade people to become my clients. And so I had a few clients to start off, and as I continued to progress, I had imposter syndrome. I had imposter syndrome, and that did hold me back for a long time. And I would say, for those who don't know what imposter syndrome is, that's when you basically self doubt yourself. You find any reason to feel like you're not good enough, or why people won't want to invest in you, why people won't want to work with you, and things like that. And I will say, um, first and foremost, God is the first keys for me to have gotten through having imposter syndrome. And the next thing I would say is having a coach. And I want to be very clear here. When I say have a coach, make sure that you have a kingdom based coach. And that's if you are, of course, a spiritual person. Have a kingdom based coach, because when you have a coach that's praying for you, fasting for you, and wanting to see your business grow and excel, the strategy that they provide to you is coming from higher place. And so at that point, you're able to receive the information differently. It's more strategic, it's more aligned to you and what you need to do to go to the next level. So that's something that I made a mistake. I feel like I was just willing to go with whoever knew what they were talking about. But the difference is, I feel like some of them were operating from their own understanding and not necessarily from God's understanding. And so that made a big difference for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree about the coaching, because I had a couple coaches. One coach, none of them were bad coaches. They just weren't the coach for me. And it was like, okay, we're gonna get this business, but I didn't even know how to be a man. I was 30. I was like, I didn't know I had a son. I think I was either married or about to be married. Like I was still learning, how to grow up. Sometimes we late. When it sounds like you still young and you got your stuff all the way together. So we a little men and women are different, but whatever. So it was like business. I don't know how to even manage the household. So it was like I went through one other coach and then another coach, and then I got the right one that could speak the language that I needed to handle both. And that was like really important. And then, like you said, the imposter syndrome. Now that you say that, like I went through that after my divorce. Like I'm like, man, ain't nobody rocking with me. Ain't nobody going, I look like the bad guy in this situation. No, nobody talked to me, all that stuff. And then COVID happened. I was by myself, and it was like, all right, well, it's just me and God. And just getting that better relationship with Him helped me to get back to being who I was. Because I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going to just be a teacher forever, because I stopped believing in myself because seeing the things that happen. And I never even thought of it like that. I've heard of imposter syndrome, but I thought it was something else. But like you saying that make me sit here like, dang, that's why I was acting all down. Because you go through that, and then COVID happened. So
Yeah.
like you go from I went from having a family, no family, and then I can't see nobody. I got to sit in the house. Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy. So I definitely agree with those things. Like those are very important. I think sometimes people don't want to be alone, like with they self. and that's where you find out who you are. Like when you have a coach and you get close to God and you like working on yourself, you find out who you are. Because sometimes you do get caught up in doing what somebody else does or doing what other people. But I like what you said about getting your feet wet. So in college, me and my buddies, we used to sell Kirby vacuums. You know what that is? The Kirby vacuum, like
Mm,
it's a $2,000 vacuum.
mm.
And we went to school in Bloomington, Indiana. All white people, really, mainly. And we're going in a van. It's a white dude, two white dudes, and then us knocking on people's door trying to vacuum. Like, and we did a good job, like, because we knew how to translate street hustle into this hustle. But then I was sitting there listening to you, like, dang, we really started off entrepreneuring, but then we left it because that was a shiesty, like it was kind of shiesty, but it was like we kind of started off then like running a business, but we were running somebody else's. And that just made me think like I got my feet wet a long time ago because I'm a little older than you, just a few years, but college was like a decade ago. So that just made sense. So I'm gonna get back to the questions with you because that was just hitting me. We talking about moms and it hit me. But so when when you start rolling, you got your coaching, and it sounds like you the coach have a coach. I don't think people understand that either. You can't be a coach without having a coach. So where were there any moments where you thought about giving up this particular business, like because like you said, when you start off, it's hard. You got to do a lot of footwork until you're able to, get to that level where think the business runs for you. So when you were at that point, where it was there any moments, because life happens too, like anything could happen. Was it any moment where you're like, nah, I don't know if I'm gonna do this, or if it was, what did you do?
Listen, there was a point in time where I used to be like, I quit. Like I would literally be like, I quit entrepreneurship every day. Like like I said earlier, it is not for the weak. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And I would say like I never got a chance to get into corporate America like some people that become coaches. So I feel like those people they have like some type of structure, you know, that I feel like I didn't have as far as like okay, well how do I lead myself? Like, okay, now you're a CEO. And I will say there's a difference, in my opinion, between a business owner versus a CEO. Now, a business owner, we could all be business owners, and that's what we're taught. Go start a business. But we are not taught to be CEOs. And there's a big difference because that's when you start to take yourself away from the business. That's when you start delegating. That's when you start implementing strategies. I remember one time I told myself I was going to go I wanted God to bless me with employees. And God was like, do you have any SOPs in place? He was like, do you have your company values? He was like, do you have a employee handbook? Like, what do you have in place to know, like, if this person even aligns with you, if this person wants a W-9 form or whatever it may be, do you even have any of this set in place as you wanting to be a CEO versus a business owner? And so I sat there and I was like, oh, God just checked me. Because the reality of it is sometimes okay, it's cool to outsource somebody from Fiverr or wherever, but it's like, does that person even align with your values? Does the person even align with your beliefs? So it's like sometimes, yeah, you can have a little quick job and stuff like that. Maybe it's not as important to care about the values in that sense. But as you move forward and you start to want to build your team, are you even thinking about those things? Are you trying to make sure that you're not always you got to be the face and you got to wear all the hats and stuff like that? Because you don't see the CEO of any company answering the phones, doing the marketing, sending out the emails, doing this, doing that. But it's like we are taught that it's okay to do all of those things, which in the beginning, it's okay. Learn everything, be that person. But at some point, you have to say it's time to break away, especially if you want to get that time freedom. If you really want that time freedom, you're going to have to position yourself to be the CEO. And so I'll say that I definitely had moments and days where I wanted to quit. I definitely had moments where I wanted to go get a 9 to 5. And I promise you, for me, When I tried to go back to a 9 to 5, I literally had anxiety. Like being on the job, I'm like, but now I'm in like, I already have clients and stuff. Maybe I don't have as many as I want or need right now, but I'm trying to like do their work, but I still got my work to do. And I might have like a meeting in the middle of the day, but I have to finish their work by a certain time. And I'm like, God, I can't do this. Like, I really, I'm trying here, but I don't feel good. Like, I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I'm about to pass out. Like, you got to make a way for me. And I will say that because I allowed myself to be aligned with my purpose and who I'm meant to serve, God honored that for me. So I would definitely say you got to make sure that you know that you're doing it for the glory of God. Again, this is if you are a spiritual person, you got to make sure that you're doing what God wants you to do. Because even my event on Saturday that you mentioned, I could not have expected it to be as successful as it was because of how my other businesses went. But because I was aligned with my purpose, because I was aligned with what God wanted me to do, it was extremely successful.
Yeah, yeah. That's so true. Um, like it's moments that I want to, it's moments where I'm like, I'm still at the beginner's level kind of, and I'm like, how can I leave this job? Because the job is distracting, but it's also helping me though on certain levels. Like you said, like with corporate, like I don't have structure when it comes to like when speaking, so I'm learning how to teach and come up with curriculum. And it's like, okay, I understand that, but it's like this job is in the way. Podcasting is what I really love to do, but I love speaking too. So it's like I have these different things, and it's only me. And like you said, I like Fiverr, but I don't, because it's like I don't know this person. Like this person live all the way over there. Like I don't know if they're gonna be able to feel how I want them to design it, because that happened before. Like somebody created something and I don't know, it didn't feel the same. And that's like you said, you got to have the same values and all that. And that's funny what you said, because we all, oh, I'm a business, I got a business, I got a this, I got a that, but nobody know how to run an actual business. Like you said, on a handbook. Like, do you got this form? Do you got that? Do you know how to do a background check? Do you know how to do all this different stuff? Where the job that you were going to, they have that, and you want somebody to come work for you, but you don't have that. You don't have nothing. You just, well, girl, I got this business and I make this amount of money. If you help me out, I'm gonna give you a couple dollars. We'll come up with a couple things, and then we'll get you set up. And it's like, how businesses are. Um, and that's how some of our people are. Like we don't really want to get the paperwork. Like when you get the paperwork, that's when the paperwork, because this 3 letter word IRS. If you don't have your stuff together and they come about, it's not going to be good for you. So I love that you and God seem like y'all got a tight relationship, because He tell you everything that you're supposed to do, and it happens for you. So when you when you did your launch, because I seen that you were like, oh, I only got a certain amount of people, and then it turned out different for you. What was um what was that, like you said, you're on a high from that? Like what is that feeling like to be able to help moms change their mindset and change who they are? Like how is it being able to help like moms? Because helping men is a little different, but helping moms, especially could be single moms, how is that for you?
So I would say that about 3 years ago, God told me to work with moms after I gave birth to my daughter. So when I was in the hospital with my daughter, I literally had a C-section like a few hours before, and I had my laptop out, and I was so excited, like, yes, I'm gonna get work done. And then I looked back at that picture last year, and I was like, I'm not proud of that. I was like, this was an intimate moment that I would have loved to, like, of course I had my daughter with me, but it just was like I wanted to be fully submerged in that moment. But I felt like I had to be superwoman. I had to be supermom and prove to those around me like, I'm not postpartum depression. I'm not like I am living up to my potential, like, and I'm a great mom. I'm a great business owner. Like, you can't take those things away from me. And so when I look back at it, I said, I don't ever want to do that to myself again. And I don't want any other mom to have to do that either, to have to deal with picking and choosing between making money or being there for their kids, whether it's for a school event or a birth or whatever that looks like. And so that really touched me. And so after, being an entrepreneur for 2 years, God was like, okay, now it's time. Like, hey, now it's time to work specifically with moms. I tried to fight it for a long time because I felt like, well, maybe I'll make less money if I just work with women in general. Coincidentally, most, if not all, of the clients that I was working with were moms, anyways. I was like, okay, God, you know what? Let me stop fighting this. Let me move into working with moms. And so this event for me was the first event in person that I hosted specifically for moms. And so it was a vision board party called Visions to Wealth, because the name of my company is Wealthy Mom Collective. So being wealthy for me, for my company, is not only about being wealthy financially, it's about being wealthy spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally. And so when you can be all of those things, the money can come, right? And even the people that are wealthy, like celebrities, a lot of them unfortunately commit suicide. So we have to realize that the actual money itself is not the most important thing, because clearly, if it was about the money, these people would probably still be here. And so, with that being said, moving forward, with the event, I marketed the event for 1 week. I reached out to people in their DMs. I reached out to people that I thought was going to be interested. I reached out to people that I've worked with in the past. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm about to get sales. Like, this is a great event. Like, people know me. Like, what's going on here? Why do I only have one ticket sale? But I remember I told God that this year is going to be my year to be limitless. This is going to be my year to not move in fear. This is going to be my year to really put myself out there and to serve the people that you have called me to serve. So I'm questioning God. I'm like, God, I don't know. I don't know about this. I'm going to cancel, because I have like 5 other people that, I told they can come on. They don't got to worry about paying. And I only got one ticket sale, and one ticket sale is not going to feed all these people. So I don't know what's going on. But I will say that there's a picture where the guy is mining,
Mm-hmm.
and he quits, right? And he's like right there, he's about to hit the diamonds. And that is so significant to me, because above that, there's another young man who's just starting that journey, and he's digging and he's excited. But my thing is, had he, the old man, kept going, then if that younger man ever gets discouraged, he would be able to encourage that young man, like, hey, I get it. I've been where you are. And I know that you might get frustrated. I know it might get discouraging, but keep going. And the reason why I mention that is because success leaves clues. I'm going to say that again. Success leaves clues. What do I mean by that? You have to really study people that's been where you are, and you have to have wise counsel, because wise counsel is really what kept me grounded. I had my friends saying, let's pray. Before I could say anything else, let's pray. Then outside of that, I had, friends, I had business partners that have already experienced doing their events, and they encouraged me. But if they hadn't gone through it, then they wouldn't have had a story to tell me to encourage me, right? And so I had to keep going, because I was right there. And if I would have quit right then and there, I would have missed what God was about to do. And it's really important that no matter what it looks like, you have to keep going, because God is going to give you a breakthrough. But if you don't keep going, if you allow yourself to quit, you'll never know what could have happened. So I went from one ticket sale to 6 vendors and selling out with 35 plus women. And everything about that day was literally perfect. Now, I'm not going to say leading up to it, it was a lot of things that went wrong. A
Mm-hmm.
lot. But the actual day of was the most beautiful experience I've ever had, something that I will remember forever. And I just give God the glory, because if I would have quit, I would have never even known what I was capable of, what God was capable of. He definitely did exceedingly and abundantly above all that I could ask for. And I'm so grateful and so honored that He saw it fit for me to serve these moms, and for them to be like, I absolutely love this event. It was really good. Like, a room full of moms. Like, they were like, this is one of the first times in a long time that I got a chance to be away from my kids and just be around other moms, be around other like-minded business owners, just be able to relax, have good food, have fun, laugh, and just be in a positive space. It was so amazing.
I love that because you were very transparent there, like, and that's what the listeners that are moms that they needed to hear because they're doing whatever they're doing and they're right there, and it's like I want to give up, and it's like you can't give up, like no matter if it's something that you love and you know it's like your purpose to do it, you just got to keep going. Like I've been there where I wanted to give up, like with podcasting. Not last year, the year before, I had a different kind of podcast, but it still was what I wanted to do. I had co-hosts, and one of my co-hosts had passed away. She got in an accident, so it was like we stopped. We stopped for months, and I was like, man, I'm ready to get back, but they weren't. And I was like, all right, what I'm gonna do? And I just this is how I came up with Underdawg Talk, and it was like I could have stopped. I could have been like, oh, I really wanted to co-host. This is what it's gonna be, and I could have stopped, and I would have been upset that I stopped because when you don't stop, it helps you become a better person. Like you could have gave up, you would have missed out on a big old opportunity. You might have been a little sadder in this interview if you would have stopped and you wouldn't be on cloud nine because you would have stopped. Like, man, I only got one person because we've all been there. Like when you start. I've had an event where it was only friends and family. I was speaking. I had the tickets, everything. I'm like, all right, nobody here. I act like I ain't know. I didn't even know them. I was like, I don't know y'all. I'm about to give y'all this speech like everybody else because it's the practice. It's the overcoming the adversity. And I love that you were able to like share that because I know some moms gonna be like, dang, I was gonna give up too. Because that's how success is. Like you gotta study, like you said, study success. You gotta like I was watching Joe Budden, and I've never listened to his podcast, but I know he's the podcast guy. So I listened to an interview and I like looked at some of his old ones, and he didn't have a whole setup. He had like a regular couch, looked like it was an apartment or something. I was like, okay, good. I ain't where I want to be at yet, but I'm still gonna keep going. And he's where he's at. So it's like you got to look at other people and be like, and when you get there, when you're that person that was the underdog and you're the successful underdog, you're supposed to help that other person. Sometimes you don't want to help. The help doesn't have to be financial. It could be like, hey, I remember back then this what you need to do. Don't do this, but do this. Or when you got a contract, do this. So I love that you understood your assignment and you understand what God got for you because you make me, I think I got to go and get a little tighter with God because your relationship makes me like, okay, what am I not doing? Because God speak to me, but I don't know. Sometimes I'd be like, is this God really talking or I don't be knowing. So just listening to you, I'm sure anybody would want to be like, okay, if I'm not as tight as I need to be a little tighter because Shorty over here rolling, she was about to give up. Like, God, you said I should do this. And then, so I just love that. I'm sorry I was babbling kind of, sort of, but I love like that little story that you just gave. So there's a mom or some moms, they kind of know what they want to do, but they don't. And then they're kind of moms that's like, okay, I'm starting off. What should I do? Can you give like 3 tips? I know that's kind of a 2-part question, but those moms are kind of tired, but give those moms like 3 tips what they could do today when they listen to this episode.
Absolutely. So I would say definitely after prayer, I'm gonna always put the prayer first. Then really sit down and identify what it is that you are good at or what it is that you're passionate about. I will say that there are different zones of genius, right? So there's 4 different zones, and each zone represents like things that you're not good at all. So don't even try to have this business. Like, what's something I'm not good at? Math is not my thing, right? At all. Like, just a little secret between you guys. Like, I probably would put 1 + 1 in the calculator, right? Like, let's be real. But I wouldn't go and start a math tutoring program. because that's not in my zone of genius at all. Like zone of incompetence. Like I no, don't do it. And then you have the next level up, um, which is something that you could probably be good at, but still don't do it. And then you have the zone of competence. So the zone of confidence competence is right before the zone of genius. So the zone of competence is something that you are good at, but it doesn't necessarily make you happy. Like it's more like a chore than something that you actually would want to do. So maybe for me it could be cooking, for example. I can cook, but would I really want to cook for a large group of people? Would I want to do catering and stuff like that? Honestly, no, I don't like cooking for large amounts of people. But does that mean I'm not good at it? No. So I wouldn't start a business there. But then you have zone of genius. Zone of genius is what you're good at that you would actually do for free. And I'm not telling you to do it for free, but the point is, you're so good at it. It makes you so happy that you're willing to do it for free. So let's say I'm a motivational speaker, right? I love speaking to people. I love encouraging people. So how can I find multiple streams of income to match what it is that I love? So I can start a YouTube channel. I can start a podcast. Maybe I can create an ebook. Like continue to look into different ways that you can branch out into that so that way you can actually make that become something that you actually do on a day-to-day basis. But just be mindful that if you do start off with doing something that is anything under the zone of genius, you're more likely to not finish it. You're more than likely to not be happy with it and then have to switch into other ventures. The next thing I would say is don't be afraid to start. You have to start. And I know the hardest thing to do is to start, but you have to because you will never know what's going to happen. You will never know how to make adjustments. You will never know how to pivot if you do not start. You have to. That's the biggest thing. I feel like somebody watching is like wants to be an event decorator or party planning or something like that. Like I've been feeling that for a long time. So if there's somebody that's watching that, watching this, I would say start. And if you did start and you want to keep going, like put yourself out there. Your clients are gonna come. And that's for anybody too, but that's what I feel in my heart. And so just start. And I will also say find your tribe, find your community. Like you have to be surrounded by people that are similar to you. So like having a community of moms like Wealthy Mom Collective. So we have high-end conversations, high-end programs, high-end events. So it's by moms for moms. So maybe you need to connect with other moms because you guys can relate to each other. That's why I went to work with moms, because I know that my clients can talk to me, and if we're on a Zoom call together and they need to breastfeed their child, or they need to, take a minute to talk to their child that's throwing a temper tantrum, having a meltdown. I get it, mom to mom. I understand. We can still work around it. Let's get through it together and then keep this session going. And so having that tribe is really important for the relatability. And then find a coach, find somebody that speaks your language. I think that's something that Eric said earlier that I really resonate with. Sometimes coaches are not bad coaches. They might not be speaking your language and be able to teach in the way that you need to receive to really learn and apply that information. And that's okay. I've invested in a lot of coaches, and some coaches I appreciated more than others. And I also had to learn like what season I was in. I realized that I was investing in things that I really didn't need, when in reality I just needed more coaching on marketing, how to market myself better. You're going to have to be creative. Creativity is super important in business. Like again Eric said earlier, thinking outside of the box. If you think you're going to start a business that somebody else started without any type of creativity and putting your own spin on it, you're just going to be another number, and that's just the reality of it. You have to be able to solve your target audience's problems, and you need to be able to be creative with it so that people are interested in working with you and getting to know you and the services and products that you may have to offer. And the last thing I'll say is just research. That's the best place to start researching, and kind of getting ideas and things like that. Especially if maybe you're not in a position to afford a coach yet. Start off just by doing research. Get your feet wet. Do what you have to do. But just don't give up and don't limit yourself. Don't count yourself out because you don't have the money. Sometimes we want to go to a concert and we don't got the money. Guess what? We find a way to get the money. When I used to hear my coaches saying that, I used to be like, well, dang, but they don't know what I'm going through. But the reality of it is, if you want to get coached and you want to take yourself to the next level, you're gonna find a way to invest in it.
You ain't never lied. You that last thing, like I didn't know what coaching and stuff was, but when I started seeing who I was becoming, I'm like, oh, I got to make sure I have this. And it wasn't even a lot, but it's like you spend money on stupid stuff. That amount of money you spend on stupid stuff is the amount of money that you could spend on coaching. I guarantee it. The money that you spend on stuff that you know ain't good for you is where you get with your coaching. But you said something. I know a person. I know who you're talking about. You don't. You like whoever you the event person. I know who you talking about. I know the exact person who it is, and definitely going. She's definitely gonna get this. Your information in this episode might be for everybody else because she. Yeah, I already know who it is. That's crazy that you said that, and like
Wait, look, that's not crazy. That's God. Listen,
yeah, that's not crazy. Yeah, like you said, it's God,
God.
and like I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, God got something in store for her. Like she don't even know it. We having a conversation about her, and she don't even know it. But yeah, something in store for her. But I love that the first thing you said is pray, and I'm getting better at it, praying before I do something. Because a lot of times we do it and then we pray instead of, hey God, what should I do or what should I like, however the question is you set up. So I give a quick example before I ask you for the quote. So I've been looking for a studio or a space just to have my podcast, and it's this guy. I talked to him, young dude. I seen, oh okay, he got this little space. So I emailed, I didn't call. I'm reaching out to different places. I went to another place, and I looked at another studio. It's a little further out, and then some dude called me, and he like, yeah, this is Sound Space, and I'm like, what? Who is this? It's an Ohio number. I'm whatever, and I'm like, yeah, call me back in an hour because I was at work still. I was in meetings, so I was like, call me back in an hour. So he called me back about an hour and a half later, and it was really like the umbrella of all the like little podcast studios in different areas. He just had an Ohio number. He's like, yeah, I know a studio for you. It was a studio I was trying to reach. It was a studio that I've been wanting to go to. He's like, yeah, man, my bad. I've been out of town, so I ain't answered the phone. And I'm like, wow. Because I prayed about it. Like, God, I need you to show me which way, where it's at. Because I want something that's stable. I want to hip hop around. And it was just crazy that happened like that. Like the guy called me. I forgot that I signed up or whatever. But I love everything you said, and I love that you. I'm glad you said that because I know who to talk to, but the mom to talk to, and I know you got your quote because I shouldn't have told you earlier, but I did. So, what is your quote for moms? I know you. I'm sure it aims for moms.
So I wouldn't say it's really a quote, but what I will say is that remember, first and foremost, I know that a lot of moms, we experience mom guilt. What is mom guilt? Mom guilt is where you don't want to leave the house. You don't want to leave your kids alone because you feel like you're not a good mom because you want to go to a business conference and you have to leave them alone for a few hours. Mom guilt is you feeling like you're choosing your business over your child. Mom guilt is just anything related to you bettering yourself and you feeling like maybe you shouldn't because you have kids and you don't want to take away from them. When the reality of it is you're just legacy building. Sometimes you have to step away because if you don't, you won't be able to leave that legacy and generational wealth for them. So, what I will say is understand this: there's no such thing as a perfect mom. There is no such thing as a perfect mom, but you are the best. You are the best mother that you can be for your child. There is no one else that could be a better mom for your child. And so It doesn't matter to me what worked, what didn't work in the past, what happened, what didn't happen, what age you had your child, how many children you have, how many jobs you were in the last year, how many failed businesses you have. I don't care what it looks like for you. You are still the best mother that you could ever be for your child. You know, um, what to do when they're up coughing at night. You know what to do when the school calls for you to pick them up. Like, you are the best mom that you could ever be. And once you can set yourself free with that, you're going to feel so much better and be able to really continue to push yourself to go to where you need to go for yourself and for your child. And I'll also say that please find some way, even if it's your child sleeping at night, find a way to incorporate self-care. Even if that looks like you lighting a candle when your kids fall asleep and watch a classic movie. Maybe you don't have the money to go out and do self-care, like get your nails done or something like that. Find something to do for yourself that doesn't have anything to do with your kids, because you will not be able to be 100% for them if you don't show up 100% for yourself. You have to pour back into yourself. You have to pour back into yourself. It is imperative.
Like, okay, drop the mic. We you got what you got to tell people how they can reach you first, because I like after that, like yeah, that, like yeah. Okay, go ahead. Tell people how they can reach you, and then just a little closing word, because I don't need to say nothing no more. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you guys can definitely find me on Instagram and Facebook at Wealthy Mom Collective. And also my personal page is Wilda the CEO. So either one is fine. You'll find me either way on either platform. And so that is on Instagram. Facebook, my name is Wilda Jean, but on Instagram is Wilda the CEO.
Um, just get. I appreciate you. Like I knew you was gonna come with some knowledge, but like for real, like you can help anybody with this, not just moms, but like yeah, this probably gonna be a special episode, drop quicker than another one, because I just know like it's a bunch of moms in my head, and then the certain mom that you said like they need to hear this, and I'm sure it's more moms because you are vulnerable, transparent, and like really being able to help them, because as a mom it's hard. I grew up with a single mom, so sometimes like they had that mom guilt and they don't go and live out their dreams, and they wait too long, or they like, oh well, I'm too old to do this. No, you ain't never too old. But give us a closing word. I always let the guests say the last words before we get out of here.
Absolutely. So what I will say is, for those of the moms that are already in business and feel discouraged, don't. Because honestly, I've been working and people are now reaching out to me. Like Eric reached out to me at the top of the year. I was not expecting to be on this podcast. And I'm honored and grateful that I have the opportunity to do so. But even as I'm sitting here, I'm like kind of holding back tears a little bit, because I'm just like, this right here is preparation, right? So if I would have gave up a long time ago, he would have never even like said, let me reach out to see if she wants to be on the podcast as a underdog, right? But this is preparation, because I'm gonna be on TV. I will be on TV. And this is like preparation for me getting interviewed on TV. Like, so it's like such a blessing, such an honor to be here, to be able to share my story, to be able to help inspire and motivate other moms and even other entrepreneurs that can, get a word out of this. So I'm just super grateful. Never give up on your dreams. Definitely continue to push forward, be encouraged, find your purpose, allow God to show you what way to go, and just know that I'm here to help, to serve, and just to be an inspiration to those that may be trying to find their way. I've been where some of you guys have been. I'm still going. I know Eric thinks I'm like probably like super close to God, but some days I'm hard headed. Some days I want God to come sit on my bed and be like, "This is exactly what you need to do." And when I don't hear that, I sometimes I panic, but I will say praying and fasting has helped me a lot, and um letting go of people as well. I'm not gonna lie to you. Once I switched to working with moms, that was like my first open door. But once I let go of certain people, my life has done a 360. Sometimes every like when they say everybody can't go with you, understand if you're ready to take your life to the next level, your business to the next level, you might have to reevaluate who's in your circle right now because they might be holding you back. And then I'm done.
That's tough. I was gonna say my little ending, but I'm gonna say we're gonna run this back on TV because Underdog Talk is gonna be a talk show that's gonna be on TV. So we're gonna run it back. I don't know when, but we're gonna run it back and we're gonna be on TV and we're gonna get to look back on this interview. So I'm gonna speak that into existence. And on that note, peace, one love.